There has been dialogue taking place, but today public and private sector stakeholders in trade gathered as the country seeks to establish a maritime transport policy. So what is a maritime transport policy and why is it important?
The sector is really an economic engine for the state, and so we must have policy to drive that engine.
Where is Belize in terms of having its own policy?
We don't have a maritime transport policy as yet, and so this is a conversation that is imperative for us, as we believe that the sector provides a lot of opportunities for trade and development. Specifically, most of our trade comes through our ports, and so we need to have some form of policy direction to ensure that the sector is built for the future, is future-proofed, so that we can continue to trade, we can continue to benefit from shipping, we can continue to attract marine tourism and marine recreational users, and so that requires policy direction and collaboration among the various stakeholders that operate within this space.
On the ground, there are two cargo ports used in the trading of goods: Ports of Belize Limited in Belize City and Big Creek Port in the south. And then there are two cruise ports, Harvest Key in the south and 4th Street Tourism Village in Belize City. Acting Ports Commissioner Darlene Gaitan speaks of issues that have been identified due to the absence of a policy.
We do have issues such as marine environmental regulations. We also have issues of port development and infrastructure to ensure that our ports are adequate for the shipping that calls the shipping of the future, the shipping where those trends are going, and so to ensure that we are connected to the shipping sector. There's issues, of course, with any sector in terms of sustainability. What is your environmental impact, not just economic benefits, but what is your environmental impact to the state, and how are we as regulators, as players within the sector, ensuring that indeed we are aiming for the sustainable development, not just development at the expense of the environment.
So the workshop seeks to capture the various aspects of the industry, including policy, and strategize action plans going forward. That technical support to draft the policy is being made possible by way of a partnership with the International Maritime Organization. Deputy Director of Subdivision for Program Management and Coordination, Technical Cooperation Division for IMO is Jonathan Pache. He says that at the core is a sustainable management of the sector.
It provides successive governments and administration with a guidance document for planning and decision making. Now, the transport sector, and specifically the maritime transport sector, which of course is very important for Belize because Belize depends on shipping mainly for its trade, is no exception. So hence the reason why the International Maritime Organization has in the last few years been promoting the concept of a maritime transport policy and strategy, with the objective that countries have a plan on how to sustainably manage the maritime transport sector.
The policy, when drafted, will look at the issue for vessels that run aground and to ensure that the penalties are proportionate to the impacts and not a slap on the wrist.
That is a very good observation, because that is what the risks that are associated with shipping. Yes, it's an environmentally friendly mode of transport compared to aviation and compared to road, and it's very cost efficient because it makes use of economies of scale. However, there are environmental impacts to shipping, such as the groundings and oil spills and all of those things. And so that is one of the issues that is going to come to the forefront. Are we prepared for these eventualities? Are we prepared within the legislation to ensure that the penalties are in some form, as they should be, disincentivizing this kind of activity? And so if it's a slap on the wrist, then the state is not protected, and then there is no disincentivizing for those would-be polluters or those who would cause irreparable harm to our marine ecosystems.
Following the workshop, the Maritime Technical Committee, comprising heads of maritime agencies, will then look at the drafting of the policy, which will later be presented to Cabinet. Duane, Moody for News 5.